enough to put a whole lot of time and effort into it. Like, I get it. Whether it's fire or just separation from God, either one is terrible. Either one is just a bad way to spend eternity. So you just will do your best to avoid it. But I don't know. Like, I've had some real misconceptions about what heaven is, how you get there, and what hell is in general. And what it turns out. I'm not so near as concerned about what hell is as I am, that how to get into heaven. And I've talked to multiple, like 2 guys this week that have thought, they look at heaven and they go, well, you just keep getting another chance. So let's say you didn't do well this time, you come back around, and was finally when you're good enough, then you go into heaven. And I'm like, you guys read the Bible. Which Bible are you reading?
Yeah.
That is just not how it's explained.
That just doesn't even make sense, because if that's the case, and we're like all working our way toward heaven, we're all at different levels and different we've advanced different amounts, wouldn't we have a little bit of back knowledge? Wouldn't we be able to come into life going, oh man, that last life, when I was a frog, I just wasn't really acting very well. I mean, we'd have like something to learn from it.
Right.
I didn't come into this life thinking, well, I have some things I've learned from my last life, so therefore I can improve this life, so I can jump up another level. I mean,
it was almost comical, because one of the things he said he goes, and I believe that's true too, because people have called me an old soul, and I said, people have called me a lot worse.
That's it. That's all they got.
I hope that whatever this guy's opinion is the truth, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, just because someone looks at you and goes, "You've got an old soul," that doesn't really mean that you've been reincarnated 6 times and now your soul has gained knowledge.
That's awesome.
And the funny part is the proof guy that we talk about, the guy with 50 proofs of why God is imaginary.
Yeah.
He's against old souls. He looks at everyone before us and goes, they're dullards. They don't know anything.
Right.
Their intelligence is nothing. If you don't live in this day and age, been on an airplane and looked at a BlackBerry, you don't know anything, right? And so, but the guy that I talked to is like, I'm an old soul, and I've accumulated this love for everybody over the last 6 lifetimes, and I don't know. It's funny because, like, one of the proofs kind of hit me when we were talking about it, when he goes, look how ridiculous the Santa Claus story is, and then look how ridiculous your religion looks to people who don't know it, right?
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense to me, but like when I hear myself explaining it, I'm like, that's probably not going to go over very well. And it's not, it's not my job to water down the gospel at all, but like it is my job to try to meet them where they're at, because Christ did that for me, and so that's the best I can do.
And so if you guys are just joining us on the chat, thanks for hanging out, by the way. We have some issues with the video feed, but I think we're back up and rolling. So the conversation is kind of spawned out from from an article about a guy talking about whether a belief in heaven and a forgiving God leads to higher crime rates. They did a study, and they said, although they don't have a causation, there is a correlation to people that believe in heaven but don't believe in hell in those countries that incline towards that also have higher crime rates. And that kind of brought on the thought about not believing in hell or concept of the belief of hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it was an odd article. I mean, it didn't make sense to me. The dots didn't quite connect.
I don't know seriously, I don't know where people get the grant money to do this. I listened to a guy today on the radio that was talking about how he'd always wanted to do deep sea exploration for Amelia Earhart's records. But they've never, the crash, right? And he goes, but we've never been able to do the ultrasonic deep sea remote camera vehicle until we finally got enough money. And so I just thought, who's donating money to this? I mean, who sits at their home and will wish I could find a team of scientists to dig up Amelia Earhart's remains?
That'd be really cool.
Because it's just tearing me up in my house. I can't take any more. And I don't understand. The scientific community just blows me away.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. So I got some more information on this study. Participants were given the opportunity to commit petty theft with no chance of being caught by lying about the number of anagrams they had successfully completed. Sharif's team found that those participants who had written about a forgiving God claimed nearly $2 more than they were entitled to under the rules of the game, whereas those in the other groups awarded themselves less than 50 cents more than they were entitled to. Note, everyone cheated. Everybody.
Yikes.
Nobody played the game straight.
Yikes.
When you take all of this research together, it does start to build a stronger case. It is unclear the degree to which these lab-based psychological experiments translate to large-scale societal effects, but according to Sosis, such a link is at least plausible. It's just something they would have to pitch. I said, here's what we want to do. First of all, I let's say you find this is true. people believe in a forgiving God and then they commit more crimes. What are you supposed to do with that information to begin with? And so,
Yeah,
like, you're experimenting is like, hey, I just like to ask questions. Oh, well, that was interesting. Like, what a waste of your time.
Yeah, know what? Yeah, my mind kept kind of going back to Paul the apostle talking in Romans. You know, shall sin increase so that grace may abound?
Yeah,
you know?
by no means.
Look how awesome God's grace is. The more I sin, the better He looks because He keeps forgiving me.
That explains the religious people at $2 more of anagrams.
There must be something about. I mean, because why would Paul write that unless it was an issue?
You
People
know-
were going, "Hey."
It's weird you say that because this came up in a conversation 2 weeks ago with someone, and I like I've read that a bunch of times, and I keep thinking, who would think that?
I know.
It's like, hey, God is great. He has plenty of mercy. I'm going to do bad stuff so that people can see how great He is. Like, seriously, what kind of logic is that?
Let's just
It's
see how far His
ridiculous.
mercy goes. Were you going to forgive this? I mean, what if He doesn't? I mean, He's going here.
Yeah,
but-
that's well. I mean, I don't know. He set up the statue, right? He can do what he wants.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know that I would gamble. I mean, his as far as our current setup as it stands, as the Bible reads, grace will cover it, right? But like, I mean, he's God. He could kind of say, "Look, I've had enough. You know, we're done. We're done."
You know, and maybe that's how many times I have talked to someone who likes in a marital crisis, you know, and as a believer, and as a believer, I'm going, okay, you believe in God? Yeah, okay. Well, God says don't do this, and they'll sit there. I don't know how many times I've had people say, "Well, God will forgive me." I'm going, you are going with your eyes wide open into complete rebellion against God, assuming, He'll forgive me. That's a whole different ballgame than, ooh, I messed up, I slipped, I fell to temptation.
Right.
That's like, and I sit there with my mouth open going, I don't know I'd do that with my faith.
Yeah.
Here, God, let me slap you in the face. Yeah, you'll forgive me later.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like it's. For some reason, it actually occurred to me today. Like all the advice that we give out on marriages and you know, sticking it out and you're in a contract with God when it concerns your marriage, right? Ding ding. Yep. And then for some reason, like it occurred to me, like what if my daughter who turned 25, you know, came to visit me and her mom, and she's like, my he's wailing on me. You know, or you know, he leaves me by myself. He's gone for 3 weeks at a time. He's got nothing to say to me. He's mean to the kids. You know, let's say he didn't hit me. He's just a jerk. You know, and like, boy, I mean, your faith has got to be. It's got to be rooted. It has to be rooted to answer that, to be able to handle that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't imagine looking my own daughter in the eye and saying, "You got to stay.
Well, honey, suck it up.
You got to stay."
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
like seriously, that's a tough conversation. And you better have one hand on the Bible and one eye closed while you're praying, trying to figure out, you know, give me the strength to say this, because you want nothing more to grab your grandkids and say, you can live here. I love it.
Yeah.
I can show you love. We love people here.
And there are times, it really depends on how deep you're going here, is, you know, if it's truly an abusive situation, you know, you got to get out of that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but there are many times I have counseled people to say, you know what, you need to just separate. You need to lay down the law. I always recommend, this book's probably 30 years old now. I don't know how old it is. James Dobson's Love Must Be Tough. And say, hey, read that book. There's probably some more modern ones now that are along the same line, but I honestly don't know, because that one's so good.
I have an old soul.
I have an old soul, so my third life, that worked really well. But, you know, his whole premise is you leave and say, here's the deal. You're not, you know, here's what you need to earn me back, basically. And it's not divorce. I mean, the whole thing is you don't get divorced, you separate, but the purpose of we need to start dating again because this obviously isn't working. And it's so easy for me to say, you know, I have a good relationship with my wife, so
That's kind of where I was coming from too.
Yeah.
Like I thought about it, and I thought, you know, like I couldn't think of any reason on you know, imagine a divorce in my future, you know, because I mean we work at our marriage, and you know, sometimes it just stinks, and sometimes it's fantastic, but it's work either way, you know, and but like, I don't know what it feels like to be in that situation where, you know, someone promised that they would take care of you, and someone promised they would stand by you and support you and walk with Christ with you, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
You know, they lied. You know, and you're supposed to look at them and go, well, he's had a contract.
Right. They lied and they don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be the difference if I lied because I had the intention of doing the right thing and then I stink and I didn't do the right thing and I'm trying to do something
Right.
different.
If he like came in every day and like threw a vase on the floor and said, "So grace may abound," and then
Do you forgive me now?
walked out again, you know, that's a real jerk, you know. He knows enough about the Bible to be really dangerous.
You're listening to Live from the Path. Thanks for joining us tonight and every Monday night from 10 to 11. We are broadcasting from 10 to 11 p.m. The show is going to an hour.
Mostly because of the emails we were sent.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to sleep.
Yeah.
What? Why would they do that?
Yeah. So Grace, what about?
Yeah. So
I
Chris,
guess
what
so.
about?
We kept forgiving them.
Grace stopped abounding for our 11 to 12 hours, so we're just going to cut it. The thought really here is that to give you guys a shot, I don't know if we talked about this on the air so much, but we broadcast at the time that we do. Mike and I both have young kids, and we'd like to be home to put them to bed. And various things take us out of the house, hit and miss. And if that's Monday was a night where we both could be home and help put the kids to bed, and so we wanted to do that. And so to do that, the kids go to bed at an iffy hour, 8, 9, whatever. But that gives us time to get in here and fire up the show at 10. So that's why we broadcast when we do. And we're gonna go from 10 to 11 and try to give you a really great show in that 1 hour. And encourage you to hang out.
Does that start next week?
It's this week.
This was the weekday.
Oh,
We gotta reel it in.
Bummer.
well, I hope they have grace.
So you guys can hang out. You can still get to bed at a relatively decent hour. You can listen to the whole podcast. So that's the goal. We'll start seeing from 10 to 11. And thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I don't have any country to move to or anything where I can commit more petty crime.
Nah, I mean, did he say America was part of that study?
No, he didn't really say.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah. All right. Hey, well, let's get to the proofs. Here we go. GodIsImaginary.com. We're on proof number 8. We're walking through it's a 50-week journey on the 50 proofs that God is imaginary from this fella. This guy also runs the site GodHatesAmputees.com.
Seriously?
Yeah, and basically the thought behind this one is if fine, you think God can do miracles, how come he never heals an amputee? He never regrows an arm. He heals things that otherwise you could attribute to medical something. Like a blind man sees, he still had eyes there. He didn't grow an eye.
Right.
So but you chop off a guy's arm and his arm never grows back, it must imply that God implicitly hates amputees.
Now, hold on. Does he also own the site Evolution Hates Amputees? Because I don't see the evolutionary molecules growing a new arm either. You know what I'm saying, Mr. I want to grow things out of nothing?
But he's not. Evolution doesn't claim to. I think he's saying that although God didn't claim to either.
No, it doesn't say in the beginning God decided I regrow arms. Just for a heads up. What the Bible basically says is I'm God. I do what I want.
Sorry, I didn't read this right. Why does God hate amputees.com?
Oh, he wasn't saying it was different. Oh, yeah, that's the difference.
No, it's the same thing.
It's implied that he does.
It's the if you go why does God hate amputees.com? Why won't God heal amputees? This is the most important question that we can ask about God. Those are the.
What, you think this is his full-time job to keep up on these websites?
I think he's a bitter, angry man.
Oh, hey, man. Shoot. Okay, I'm not. Here's what we'll do. We'll talk about this next week because the guy at the GodandScience.org guy,
he's awesome.
Has gone through and kind of tried to answer this.
Okay, cool.
And he's probably way better than we are.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, so
Do you think so?
What's the website? The Evidence for God.
It's GodandScience.org.
Okay, this guy. I mean, he has like some kind of creepy Michelangelo-looking fella on his website, like right at the top. It's kind of cheeseball looking, but he writes some very excellent articles on God and science. Same thing with what's that other place that we look at? The Poached Egg.
Yeah,
he's a huge apologetics man, and he's very, very good information. Very, very good.
Cool.
Yep. All right, so here we go. Here we're looking at number 8, and here we go. Think about near-death experiences. Many Christians find the phenomenon of near-death experiences NDEs to be proof that God, in quotes, and the afterlife, in quotes, exist. As described, an NDE contains these characteristics. The sudden awareness that one has had a fatal accident and not survived, an out-of-body experience, a sensation of floating above one's body and seeing the surrounding area, a pleasant feelings, calmness, a sensation of moving upwards through a tunnel or narrow passageway, meeting deceased relatives or spiritual figures, encountering a being of light or a light, possibly a religious figure like Jesus, God, Buddha, being given a life review, a feeling of being returned to the body, often accompanied by a reluctance to return. Things like heart attacks, near drowning, and severe loss of blood can all trigger near-death experiences. NDEs have been experienced by thousands of people and have been widely cataloged in a variety of books. Many of these books are spiritual or religious in nature. What is not mentioned is that there is a drug called ketamine that produces all of the elements of an NDE when it is injected into normal, non-dying people. In other words, an NDE is a natural chemically induced state that the human brain enters. The trigger for an NDE is a lack of oxygen to the brain and body. If you read scientific papers, you find that there is completely chemical and completely non-spiritual reason for the features of every NDE. Sufficient proof that there is no God?
Actually, I agree with that whole thing.
Yeah, I've never been that impressed with near-death experiences.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't prove anything. I mean, I totally agree with him.
You can't base your faith in God on an experience, and he's talking about an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna risk eternity.
Now wait a minute, Dan. You couldn't base your faith in God on experience. Paul was blinded. That was the experience. Was he was blinded and taken down to the next town.
Right, but then he had a conversation with Jesus, and that's what turned him. He wasn't like, I'm just saying, you can't go like, oh, that's a cool sunset. A sunset. God loves me. I mean,
these are all facts, Dan. I'm missing on where you're falling there.
I'm just saying. So if it's a rainy day, does God not like you all of a sudden? Because I'm experiencing.
Oh no, grace may abound.
I'm feeling down
It
today.
rains today.
God wants to know why you hate rain.
God hates me.
Thought everybody loved rain.
That's a bad one. I mean, that's his weakest one yet.
It wasn't even one. Like,
Yeah, it really isn't.
I mean, there just wasn't anything there. I don't know anybody that claims that near-death experiences are a production of Christ. I don't know anybody that says that.
I've never read those books because I just think they're not scriptural. I mean, there might be some scriptural content to it or something, but it's not. I'm not going to base my life on some dude's experience in an emergency room.
Here's the thing: I can't say whether they're true or not. Like, I don't. They could be, with some of them are flatly not. Like they claim some things that are not biblically sound.
Right.
Some people are like, I went up there and I saw, a gal that I've never seen before, and I told my parents about it when I got back, and they're like, that was your sister. She died when you were like 2.
Yeah.
We've never told you that. That stuff's really creepy to me. And if it's not Jesus, it's something else, and that's more and more creepy, right? So I don't know whether to say that's not Jesus. I don't know. It could be. I don't know. It's none of my business really. But like, I mean, when it flat comes out, like there's not even evidence of God working that way. Like in the Bible, and God works in a lot of ways. He writes with a finger on a wall.
Yeah.
To scare people, and he floods the entire planet
to scare people.
Hey, you.
I've been reading through Daniel, and I tell you what, that Tekel Minnie Parsons.
That's kind of cool.
That's a creepy time. That's a creepy time. But
don't
anyway,
mess with the temple glasses.
Here's the phrase that I like. You've been You've been put against the weight of measure, and you've been found wanting. Like. I've put you up against something, and I'm not impressed.
You're not measuring up.
I'm really disappointed. So disappointed, in fact, I'm not even gonna send a whole hand. The Bible just says fingers, right? I'm just gonna send a finger like operation to write on walls to creep you out.
How do you think that? Did they hear it? Was it like, I mean, how do you suddenly go, hey, there's a finger on the wall? I've always wondered about that.
Well, and those temples were made of rock.
Yeah.
Like it was engraving rock. Like I don't know. That'd be very
Same
cool.
finger that did the 10 Commandments?
Could be. Anyway,
call the finger.
I digress slightly, but as far as the near-death experiences go, well, first of all, this proof isn't a proof of nothing. And as far as the near-death experiences go, it's one of those more charismatic parts of our faith that I don't have any experience in, and I don't know one that has experience in. I'm not going to say that's true or not true, but it is not a flagship of the Christian faith. The flagship of the Christian faith is you're a sinner, you need a savior. Jesus provided the sacrifice for you. Well, that's it.
And I think the broad point here is it's completely unnecessary for the salvation story, right? It's not a special way in which God reveals himself to you. He's done that. He's provided a Bible. He's been here and gone already. He's coming back. It is not needed for your story to turn the world with it. Like he's using you as a special prophet of him because of your near-death experience.
Right.
So and it does not neither prove him nor disprove him. It's just an experience.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like that ketamine thing is true. Think about what people do to themselves, even with drugs. It's how your body reacts to chemical imbalance or lack of oxygen. It's why people are always choking themselves and trying to get it on with somebody. Like they just make stupid decisions. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, that was unnecessary.
I have heard about that. I don't get it.
I don't know if people are always doing it.
Well, honey, it's Wednesday.
Yeah, they are.
The day.
That's
Get the belt.
That's what happens. It's on the news all the time. That guy from Kung Fu had it happen.
I heard it. Yeah,
David Carradine.
Hanging in a closet or something. I was like, dude.
Okay, let's turn this thing back around.
I don't get it. There's some things I don't get and I don't want to get.
I'm just saying, like, people do weird stuff because their body will react to it. He cuts off the oxygen for some reason or another.
Yeah.
And so like the body will do that. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that that does happen. Like your body's starting to shut down and your mind starts going widely. You start seeing a bunch of lights and stuff. Cones and rods don't work anymore. I don't know. Seems reasonable to me.
I see, and I think he's under the broad sweeping miscategorization of God. And this happens a lot with people who don't know God, but like they think that God and science are fighting. Like there's nowhere where they meet, and they're always going to be wrong. If you choose God, then you can't choose science, and I find that to be so false. It's not even funny. I find out this is just my opinion, but like I really feel like most of our youth get deterred away from God because the church is so hard-nosed about fighting science, and science is so hard-nosed about fighting God. They say whatever, and they get the science a lot more. You know what I'm saying? The school's got them for 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, and instead of they show up to youth group and we're like, no. When really, we're just probably not educated. Most of those are probably, yeah, most of this sounds right. Now we got to look it through a discerning eye. We got to put it up against the Bible, but like God and science are not at war. Like the science is just how God did stuff. And there's people out there that are researching it to find out how he did it. And that's a very cool profession, frankly.
And we'll talk about that too next week. Is they're supposed to have a press release on this the God particle, this Higgs boson collider, and it's an interesting thought because it's supposed to be the base work for what have had to exist for the Big Bang to have existed. So the question is like, does this mean anything? Does this mean anything to how we look at the world and how it was created and God's hand in it? And so we'll talk a little bit about that next week because I think it's an interesting discussion. It doesn't mean what I think a lot of the way the press will cover it makes it seem like it means. But it's good you can start reading it and then completely bow out because it's a lot of like scientific kind of babble.
Right.
But we'll go through it just a little bit next week and see if we can get you up to speed on the Higgs boson God particle, because there should be a pretty big release, I think, yet today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Talking about finding the God particle.
We're all about defending your faith, right? If you have a faith and a grace, then you should be able to explain yourself.
Right. You're not going to find God wanting, right? Like you're not going to say, "Oh, the Higgs boson has been put on the scale and God is wanting."
Right.
That's not the way it works.
True.
And so if God is who He says He is, this has to fit within the confines of what He's done.
Right. And now listen, when we talk about defending your faith, right? Like just because you don't know the answer right now does not mean God has failed you. You know what I'm saying? It just means you need to have some research to do.
It means you don't know, right? It doesn't mean God does not know.
Right.
It means you don't know.
You have some research to do. Find out what they're talking about. Find out what they're asking, and find out if it bounces biblically. There's a ton of part of science that totally. I mean, it meshes in like the Bible's explained it. And there's no problem there. So don't, as soon as you hear science and God, don't just throw your hands up in the air and go, I don't believe that. Huff, 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 huff. You do believe that. God said you do. Look it up. Inform yourself. Get some information.
Yeah, see, and here's the weird thing is that like the study of science is ultimately the study of God. They just don't realize it. Like they're attributing that work to something else. But like the things that where people will look at and say these two things are not consistent. They're studying God. They're just studying His work. And they're looking around and seeing what He has done.
Now, can you imagine the scientific advances we would make if they would just say, God did this, right? Like then you could start to put it together where, okay, here's where we're at. If we work under the assumption that God did this, then we could fill in the middle.
Yeah, let's pretend there was a designer and there's a purpose for this as opposed to a random act that it just happened.
Right. Think how much more we could know.
There must be some purpose. This is part of a puzzle. Where does it fit? And how does it work? I think that would help us a lot.
Yeah, I feel like we could learn a lot more.
Yeah.
Man.
What?
That was kind of creepy.
Why are you doing that to me?
What do you mean?
Why do you make me look like an elf?
The camera head's 3 inches. You're listening live from the path. Thanks for joining us, chat. Thanks for hanging out so far. So what's our final thoughts on our proof? Is that it's not really a proof at all.
That's just kind of weird. It's just kind of informational. Here's the thing: is when I was listening to you read it, I'm like, I didn't know I thought that. I didn't know I thought near-death experiences were a product of Jesus. This is new to me. Maybe.
As a matter of fact, the Bible actually is pretty clear: death and not death, right? Death risen. I don't remember any near-death experiences. That's more of a human condition trying to hold on to one or the other.
Well, yeah. What is it? It's in Luke where he talks about the chasm. There's a chasm here. And people don't cross back from it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Once you're in it.
Unless something fabulous like Lazarus. But even then, the story wasn't about, I saw these bright lights. the story was look what Jesus did. He could bring the dead back,
Right.
even after 4 days. Which,
Lazarus was probably mad. Like,
I was like, man.
I was there.
I don't know. If you really know who he is, I don't think you get mad at him. Just like maybe disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus, can you send me back now? They get it. I don't know.
That story was necessary so that God could put in "He stinketh" into the King James version. It's two short sentences. Jesus wept and he stinketh.
Yes.
Right after that was, and then I buried the Shroud of Turin right behind this, blah, 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 70 centimeters from here. Years later.
This will be great. It'll be in a museum.
All right, so we're gonna toss this one as a this really isn't even about God. He's just arguing whether people have near-death experiences.
We're on number 8, and he's had at least 2 of them. That he's just trying to hit 50.
Yeah. Oh, there's even bonus. I didn't even see this. There's 50 proofs plus bonus 1, 2, 3. Oh man, these are gonna get divey. All right, so next week, number 9, proof number 9 that God is imaginary. Understand ambiguity.
Okay. I'll do my best.
That's kind of vague.
Yeah, I my guess is that this has to do with. I think this is a prayer issue again. Prayer. What cured you? Let's imagine you have cancer and you are a believer. You pray to God for a cure. What cured you? Was it the chemotherapy or was it God? Okay, so that's next week. Proof number 9, understand ambiguity. If you want to check it out beforehand, you can go to godisimaginarycom/i9.htm, or if you just go to godisimaginarycom and on the right-hand side, you can check out the proofs. Read them before you can buy them.
Yeah, check them out. I mean, it'd be kind of fun to do on your own, really. I mean, read them and see if you can defend yourself. Can you defend Jesus Christ against a guy that thinks like that?
Because honestly, some of those are probably conversations you might have at work when hey, you're a believer. What about this?
Mm-hmm.
And it could be an honest question from someone. This guy, I don't think he has honest questions. He's just trying to be obnoxious. But some people might.
I find a lot of my conversations, like when they get down to the brass tacks of it, not how I live my life, but why I believe in God, and where they think it doesn't measure up. It really has to do a lot with science. It has to do with carbon dating. It has to do with this is not provable, and just read up on it. You'll find God there, right? Like carbon dating is probably accurate for I don't know, about 400 or 500 years, and then it starts to get real iffy on how they do it. They can only test things.
How do you
so
disprove
long.
that?
Well, here's the thing: it's a theory after a certain point, and that's exactly all that it is, right? Like you can prove that carbon breaks down at this certain rate per year, right? Well, they can only prove that as long as they've been testing it, and after that, they just start guessing. Well, they think that carbon does this, like a diagonal, and really, it could very well dive.
Well, and see
somewhere around a year 1,000,
and some of those thoughts are around the order in which they thought something, right? Like prior to carbon dating, if you had an idea of what you thought something was X old. I thought how old this thing was, and then you discover carbon dating, which you can verify or validate in that you can take in this duplicate in the lab, right? You can see how carbon breaks down, but then you say, well, how could it? And then we did the same thing to this thing that we thought was X number of years old. I've already assumed that the thing that I said was X number of years old was actually that old, and so now I have to make carbon break down or behave in a way that validates the original thing I said. Right, and so that becomes the fallibility. You didn't witness either of those things. You can't witness how long it takes or how carbon reacts in certain environments or how long, and you also don't know how old that other thing was because you decided how old it was before carbon dating existed, and then you kind of chose how carbon breaks down based upon
this is the new standard, right? And I mean, these are just simple things, right? Like if you don't know that, you should probably know that. Like I don't know as much as I should, but I know enough to say. This is where they're coming from. This is where the Bible's coming from. This does not make the Bible not true. It just flat out doesn't. It does not make the Bible untrue. It doesn't make creationism untrue. It just doesn't. It doesn't even take the timestamp that the Bible's roughly put into place. It doesn't make it inaccurate. So don't just throw it to the wind.
Wow. I'm sorry. So I had put in the search God hate amputee to try to find this website. Okay. Here's the fourth result is amputee women online, exclusive deals on amputee women. Low prices, fast delivery. The internet is not discerning. Grace may abound there.
That's bad news.
Oh, man. You're listening to Live from the Path. Thanks for joining us here on this Monday night. Broadcasting here from the Live from the Path studios. Hey, if you are out and about, you can check us out. We're going to be at the Wellspring Book and Bible. Is that what it is? Book and Bible? Well, Resource Center?
I don't know.
It sounds pretty hippie.
Sounds good.
Yeah, there you go. It's at Wellspring. It's on. It's in West Des Moines, Urbandale. It's on Hickman.
Douglas.
Yeah. Is that 104th or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So anyway, we're going to be there. There's a local day out there on Saturday. And it's pretty cool. They're going to have a bunch of guys performing. Jeff Arendale's going to be out there playing. Zach Swoboda is going to be out there playing. Tim Cooper's there. Sean Covington, who was in the studio last week, he's out there playing. So lots of guys from the show are going to be hanging out there playing some tunes. Also, local artists, both fiction and nonfiction artists, going to be out there hanging out, signing books. You got to buy them, and then they'll sign them.
Will there be any poetry?
I don't know.
Can we make our own poetry?
Yes, absolutely. Here's the deal. We're broadcasting. We're going to be out there from 11 to 2, and we can do what we want.
Are we outside, inside?
I think we're inside.
Because we got to have internet, so I'm assuming.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going outside, man. It's hot out there.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't do that stuff.
I thought they were having all the local stuff outside.
No, we're going in.
That's good.
I don't know. Well, I guess I better talk.
I read that somewhere. I don't know.
Oh, crap. It's going to be hot out here.
I will come up with something.
11 to... Oh, man.
It'll be fine.
Okay, anyway, so we're going to be out the local day at Wellspring, and that's going to be from 11 to 2 on Saturday. Also, the 13th is going to be the following Friday night. Manifest is going to be at the Indianola Community Church, and opening for him with Double J and Saved on Sunday. We'll be broadcasting from there.
That'll be a show.
Yeah, that'll be a ton of fun. We'll be on our own stomping ground, so this will be the third time we've been invited to that Indianola Community Church. They've not met anybody better.
That's July 13th?
Yeah.
I don't even have that in my calendar.
I feel like we're going to get upstaged by some other young upstart Christian rebel radio show in the Des Moines area. It hasn't happened yet, but I feel like it's got to come, right? Like,
You think so?
yeah, I mean, there's always those guys that trailblaze, that get it all started, and then the actual successful people show up and do it.
People say, you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
I know how to do this.
We give them a benchmark, right? They can look at it and go, well, certainly not going to do it like
That's
that.
what I wouldn't have done, sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just praying for a good replacement, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's coming.
Somebody that does it right.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all we want.
So we'll be broadcasting from there. That'll be coming up. That's on the 13th. Broadcast starts at 7. And that should be a ton of fun. But we've had Saved on Sunday and in recently, and Double J was in providing commentary last week from the Covington Show, and so we'll be out there and broadcasting Manifest. If you want to hear, check out a clip of Manifest. If you're not familiar, you go to Life from the Path YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Life from the Path, and just do a search for Manifest. And we have some live footage from last year's Spirit Midwest Music Festival with Manifest on it, so you can go check them out there.
It actually includes him stealing a candy bar from me, which I'll never forget.
So the 11 to 2 is the local day at Wellspring, and then 7 p.m. is the following Friday night for the Manifest show. That's the timings.
And we're going to broadcast Manifest that night.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
All right. What do you got, Mike?
Dear Live from the Path, my wife Diane and her youngest sister Jenny have grown closer in recent years. Jenny and her husband have been married as long as Diane and I have. Our children are close in age, and none of us is wealthy. We live in different states. In her attempt to stay connected to Diane, Jenny sends gifts on every conceivable occasion and non-occasion. She sends boxes of cheap items she picks up at her local dollar store. Household knickknacks, toys, kitchen gadgets, plastic trinkets, and costume jewelry. It's always things we neither need nor use, and the postage probably costs more than the items in the boxes. Fellas, I don't like this. Our home is already jammed with too much stuff. I've told my wife I want her sister to stop sending all that junk. Of course, she says she doesn't want to hurt her sister's feelings, so she says nothing. I've threatened to tell Jenny myself, but I know that would be a mistake. I don't interact with her and her husband anyway, and we don't communicate well. What can I do? We got fellas.
Yeah, we just keep getting the knickknacks.
It's not hurting anything. You don't have to keep it.
Yeah.
You can re-gift it. You can throw it away. You
Have
can
a
put it on
garage
eBay.
sale.
Yeah.
I think the last 3 lines of this thing are telling. Hold on a minute. It says, of course, she doesn't want to hurt her sister's feelings, so she says nothing. I have threatened to tell Jenny myself, but I know that would be a mistake. I don't interact with her and her husband anyway, and we don't communicate well. So he sounds like the kind of the loose cog in this machine, you know what I'm saying? Like everyone else seems to get along okay, and this guy's like, well, we don't talk anyway, and so whatever, I don't want your junk.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like, my wife deals in these junk parades. Like, you know, they give gifts for gifts, and, you know, people giving all kinds of gifts. They're always sending cards left and right. In fact, my wife's aunt sends my kids cards all the time, and they're the open cards that go, I mean, these are the most annoying. Oh, man, I just hate them so much. But, like, either she's doing it to irritate me, which is kind of funny, or my kids really like them, or she sent them just to brighten up the kids' day. And I'm like, I'm staying out of this thing. Like, I hate them. I wish they would not come to this house.
Yeah.
But my kids enjoy them, and if she's trying to irritate me, job well done. Done and done. So, what kind of cantankerous dude says, well, I'm going to tell her myself that I don't like those things, and you ain't going to send no trinkets to my house. But I don't communicate well. I don't understand why. Why is everybody always so mad at me, Here's the thing. There's something about having, like, direct honesty that's a good characteristic.
Yeah.
And there's something like being like an obnoxious bore of a jerk, that likes to call people and spout off at the mouth for no reason. And I think this guy falls into that category.
Yeah.
He already doesn't like her.
Yeah.
And anytime you don't like someone, there's a relationship issue, then it doesn't matter what she does. He's not going to like it.
Yeah, she could have sent.
She bought a red car. Why didn't you get a blue one? I mean,
they probably send $100. She's like, "Well, trying to make us feel poor. We don't need no $100."
exactly. There's no winning.
No, that's true. He's probably just he sizes on all sides. He's upset all the time.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Val Pack. She's always sending me crap.
Oh, Val. Yeah.
Hell.
Here's Secular's advice. Obviously, we can't draw anything from the pulpit here, fellas.
Hell.
Secular's advice is, you can't do anything because this is something your wife is going to have to deal with. This is not an issue. What a jerk. Diane should tell Jenny that the two of you have reached a point in life where you are no longer able to accept things because you have nowhere to put them. That's a lie. And you are now in the process of clearing out items you no longer use.
You have to make it like you have a life path of, like, we're trying to declutter. When really you're saying, I just don't want your stuff. I don't want the stuff that you send me. I'm trying to declutter things that came from you.
I feel like Secular's advice is always some kind of show, some kind of dog and pony show.
Yeah.
Like if you were sending me crap and it was just junk upon junk upon junk, I'm fairly certain after like week 3 I'd say, wait, why do you keep sending me this junk? I don't want this stuff. If you keep sending it to my house, I'm gonna drop it back off at your place. I'm just gonna keep mailing it back to you. I don't want it.
Well, I mean, there's a point in time when I told my mom to stop buying me clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like she picked out stuff that I wasn't gonna wear, and I said, "Ma, just stop buying me clothes, man. I'm not gonna wear it." And if you pick it out, like if you insist on buying it, just know that I may not wear it.
She buys shirts for me now.
Danny, I saw one just looked like a picnic table.
So, but like, I mean, there's a point in time, and your mom probably still does it every once in a while. She still buys you something. It's something you're probably not gonna wear, and you said, "Ma, I told you not to buy that," and maybe I wear it once. I show up to it just to surprise her. But like, I mean, there's a point in time where you tell people stuff like that. But if you don't have the stones to do that, or that, like, it's really not that bad, like I won't wear it because it doesn't fit me or it's ugly, right? But I feel like you either need to. I think it's okay to say something like, "Hey, let's just stop giving each other gifts." Like if I'm 40 years old and we're exchanging trinkets, that's lame.
Yeah,
I don't want to buy you stuff anymore. It's wasting my life.
Yeah.
Can't we grow our relationship beyond this? Yeah.
I don't. What's that? What if that's how she loves on people? You just say okay.
Her lesser love language.
That's what, like if she. That's why if she still does it, like I still take it. I'll take it. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, I'm not taking that out of this house." You can forget it. I'm not putting that on.
I'd make myself some kind of road bomb with it. You know what I'm saying? Like put it all in a big thing, and then we just blow it up in the backyard and watch it scatter. That'd be kind of fun. Anyway, it says she should tell her sister that when she wants to reach out, please do so on the internet or pick up the phone. However, if Sissy refuses to take the hint, you and your wife should look for some place to donate the unwanted items. A thrift shop, church sale, women's shelter, or children's hospital would be ideal. If Diane agrees, that is. Man,
All right.
I feel like that's totally unnecessary.
Yeah, I think it's lame.
Just take the stuff. Just take the stuff from people.
Like, I don't have a good vibe of what it is though. Like, what did
She
she
said
say?
it was trinkets, kitchen gadgets, like a cheese grater, spatula.
things that the homeless could use.
like a bell.
Yeah.
Like a bell with one of them sad kids on it.
Keep it for a year, and if you don't use it, get rid of it. Throw away. Every time you get something, throw away something else they'd brought, so that you're not taking up any more space. Keep it in rotation going.
Or send it back to her as a gift.
Yeah.
Hey, got your spatula, cheese grater.
All right, dear life from the path. What is considered good manners when you enter the home of a 20-something northerner?
Uh-oh.
I'm a graduate student who recently moved from the south to the east coast. When I visit the homes of my northern friends, I feel they are being rude for not inviting me to come in and sit down. When visitors come to my place, I ask if I can take their coats, ask them to please sit and make themselves comfortable, and offer something to drink. It feels strange to enter someone's living space and not hear these pleasantries. It also makes me feel as if I'm imposing. If others arrive around the same time, I try to follow their cues, but I still find it uncomfortable to just plop down and make myself at home. Should I just get over it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah. It's the person's doing a good thing by watching others.
Yeah.
You get acclimated to your culture because they are different. We live in different areas.
That's how you end up being the creepy guy at the party. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Hanging out by the door, spying on people.
taking notes.
You know, what's it?
Hey, did you just hug that guy? I'ma hug him.
Is it cool to put the coats on the bed, or is that cool? I'll just leave mine in my car. I don't want trouble.
Do I just go to the fridge myself, or do I ask first?
Yeah, seriously. I here's the thing. Here's what I love about my life, right? Like, I've never been in these socially awkward situations because they just don't apply to me at all. I could care less. You know, I just put my coat on the floor until someone says, "Hey, is this your coat?" I'll move it. No
Well, I
problem.
mean, or you could say, "Hey, what do we do with the coats?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like, "Hey, do you take my coat from me, or do I bust my own table?"
I'm not sure.
Right. Do you want me to just slide it on my shoulders a little bit so it's easier to get off? You know how to help me decide what the best way to do
And that's
this
not even a
is.
northern or south. That's just different personalities have different. Every family has their own thing. I'll go if it's winter. I'll go into a place and I'll take my coat off and I'll just kind of hold it for a second. Either they're going to offer to take it or I'll just kind of throw it on the floor by the door. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. I don't have anything that's that special that it can't be on the floor.
I don't think I would ever. It would not occur to me to ask to take somebody's coat. Like, I might say, "Hey, you can put your coats over there," but I don't think I would ever like. I don't think I would take one of their coats. Like, that would be weird.
Actually, I think it feels awkward. Someone's like, "I'll take your coat." Well, where?
Why
Where-
would you take it?
Where are you gonna take
I
it?
need this.
You know, what if I keep stuff in my pockets I don't want you milling around with?
I also don't want people holding me hostage with my coat. Like, if I want to leave and I'm kind of slowly shifting out, I got to wait for them to go retrieve my coat wherever they've stuck it in their place.
Yeah. Plus, the next guy that comes in, he puts his coat on top of your coat, and he smells like Barilla pasta and cigars. No one wants to hang around that guy. Now you smell like Barilla pasta and cigars.
That's just really awkward when like they'll take them, but then you got to go get your own. Yeah, and you're on the bottom of the pile. And there's like 30 coats on top of you. You're like going, "Oh, this one's kind of nice." And
Well, I don't know if I've ever done that.
This one's
What if
kinda
this one
nice.
fits?
Dan's involved in some kind of coat envy in the back of the party.
Ooh, they have a quarter in their pocket.
Cheryl, you should have seen the coats back there. They were amazing.
I tried 2 of them on. The third one happened to be a lady's coat. I ripped it.
I looked good.
Secular's advice was, if you've been invited to someone's home, then you are welcome. That your visit doesn't begin with the customary rituals you're used to does not mean that your host is rude. Yes, you should get over it. Just go with the flow. In time, you will adjust.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't get so hung up.
No, I mean, here's it. Like, the type of people that get offended by you not knowing the protocol of what's normally done in their particular area of family, like, are the type of people that you're going to do something that angers them at some point or another. Anyway.
You can't win with folks like that.
No,
Right.
No, in fact, I was at like a memorial service over the weekend, and I was standing and I was standing with my fingers interlaced like this, kind of just waiting for the service to start. Okay,
Yeah,
something like this, and some guy was there like, you put them behind your back, in your pockets or something. Didn't like it. Didn't like the fingers interlaced.
It was me. Yeah, he looked
That's awesome.
He was supposed to be preaching the thing, and he's standing over there like in the general preacher man stance with his hands cupped right by his belt. I'm like, stop it! You look at
People now here's a people trust a guy that stands like that. He means business.
No, the guy behind with his hands behind his back, he's ready
Not-
for anything.
No, he looks like he's about to pass the plate.
Looks like James Bond.
That's how a guy that's going to pass the plate stands. You pass it off and then you wait behind the aisle and wait till the plate comes. Like it's to give the impression that you're not going to take money out of it. That's why people stand like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. We done there? Yeah, you want one more or not one more?
Real quick, got one more.
Okay. Dear Life from the Path, I don't have a car. I can't afford one at this time. For the last 2 years, a friend has been doing me a favor by taking me grocery shopping every week. I can and do take the bus to the local grocery store, but it makes it easier to buy things in bulk with a car. We have dinner, go to an occasional movie, and generally have a good time hanging out. I buy her dinner sometimes as a thank you for her great help. Recently, I got to meet a group of her friends. She introduced me to every single person by going over the whole history of my not having a car and how she has taken me grocery shopping every week. All her friends began praising her for her kindness. I was upset and embarrassed that rather than introduce me as a friend, she instead portrayed me as an object of her charity. I always thought she enjoyed our get-togethers. She used to rebuff any attempts on my part to make our shopping trips less frequent. Do I suck it up for the sake of our friendship, or do I discontinue or curtail our meetings?
Whatever. I would call it a one-time incident. Move on.
Yeah.
I'd wait till it happens again and then call it a period. Like, that is kind of rude, though. Hey, here's this bum. Remember that bum I've been telling you I've been carting around all week? That's the guy. Oh, you're that guy, You smell like Barilla and cigars.
And if it's really bothering you, you ask the question, hey, you know what? That was kind of awkward for me. Am I kind of overstay my welcome with this car thing?
Yeah.
You know, it's a good time to ask that. Maybe I'm being a kind of a pest.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry that I can't get around and can't have a car and everything. I mean, my sincere apologies that your life is so much better than mine.
I would have a hard time
That's how I
asking
would
that
put it.
question without sounding like a defensive. You know, like, am I that big of a burden to you? You have to portray me as a third mole on your knee. You know, like that just happens to travel with you. I don't know. Pizza Man was supposed to be here.
Now, I would let. Okay, so if I'm this guy, like in all honesty, I just let it go. You know, it's a conversation. It doesn't paint your entire life. If it keeps coming up, then maybe I would mention it, because if it's hurting your feelings, there's no reason not to say anything about it. But she's probably not doing it on purpose, right? But like, that's your primary activity. It's what you do every time you go somewhere. It's probably an accurate portrayal of what goes on, but it's not intended to portray you as the burden on her life. It's just that's the experience that they would recognize, right? You don't tell your friends, well, we had this great conversation about his aunt who's a nun.
Why don't you just say, hey, it's my friend Steve?
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's probably not intentional, so I would let it go and see if it comes back up. Hey, we're gonna send you out. This is Wayne Stewart, who we had on the show. He's got a new CD recorded and coming out soon, so we're gonna send you out with that. Thanks for listening to Live from the Path. We will catch you next Monday night from 10 to 11 p.m. Also, if you can come out to Wellspring on for the local day, you can come visit us live. We're gonna be out there from 11 to 2, and then from the Saved on Sunday Double J Manifest show from Indianola Community Church. The following Friday, the 13th.
We can come pick you up for either one, but I'm going to tell everybody I know, just for a heads up.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for listening to Live from the Path. Have a good week.
Heart will be healed, broken bodies restored, and the light of the truth will shine on, when the King of Kings will rise and take up his throne. There is coming a day so unlike any other day, when these great sorrows